Hi, welcome back. I'm your host, Erica Van Eaton. Today we're going to talk about chakras in regards to subtle bodies. I'm not going to go into the physicality or into too many details about each chakra because there's a plethora of information that you can find all over the internet and in books that I'm sure many of you know much more about than even I do. We're going to talk about them in regards to the subtle bodies and subtle body placement so that we can begin to come home and take ownership over our energy and feel more empowered to work with our energy field. I'm going to be going a lot more in depth and walking people through this process. Upcoming course that I'm teaching beginning March 17th, but we'll get through what we can get through today in the podcast. So, beginning at the base of the spine, you have the root chakra. Western medicine calls it energy center. So it'd be your first energy center. In this energy center, there is the inferior mesenteric nerve plexus, and it's a plexus of neurons. It's a group of neurons. And anytime you have a group of neurons and there's, energy running through it, it conducts energy, right? It becomes like a brain, and we can expand that out around the body, and that becomes the physical subtle body that's connected in with the root chakra. And it's a sphere. It's above you, below you, and all around you. So when you connect into the root, you can imagine a sphere of light expanding, opening up, and then having a sphere of light all the way around you. Good. Then if we move up into the second energy center, the second chakra, which is your sacral, right below the navel, that is the superior mesenteric nerve plexus. This is like your ovaries, your uterus, your testes, your lower colon, all resides right here. This houses your feminine power. This is another consumer energy center, just like your first energy center. They consume energy to make life, right? To create life. That's why they call it your womb space. Even men have this creative space, this feminine energetic space. And so the second energy center expands out like a sphere above you, below you, and all around you. And that becomes your second biggest sphere. It goes outside the physical body sphere, and this is your etheric sphere. Now, a lot of times when people have surgeries or get injured and they're having a hard time healing, the wound is having a hard time healing, it can be because the etheric field was cut. This etheric subtle body was cut through, like literally cut through with a knife or like bumped, bruised, whatever. If people are sick, you kind of need to work on this etheric field because it really does give the body a lot of directive on how to heal. It's connecting into blueprints and you're working through healing. You need to work with the etheric body really to get the physical body to heal. So the next chakra that we have is the third. It's right in the middle of your gut. It's the solar plexus, and it houses the celiac nerve plexus. So it governs a lot of your digestive, pancreas, that kind of thing, and is really in control of cortisol and adrenaline. When you get stressed out, you hold a lot of tension in your gut, and it makes it difficult to eat sometimes, or maybe you want to overeat to try to like compensate for that feeling. All of those happen in the lower three chakras. So if you're over consuming or if you're under consuming, if you're constipated or if you're having the other problem, it's all because these energy centers are locked down or just eliminating as fast as they can because the balance of energy is off. One example of this is when my oldest son one time was playing on a playground. We were at a baseball tournament and I was hovering between watching him on a playground with kids and watching the baseball game that was going on. A little girl came over and got me that knew me and said, "Hey, some kids are making fun of your son on the playground." They had started out as tag, but what it ended up being was all these kids being on all over the playground, all calling him at the same time. So he didn't know which way to go because he has Down syndrome and autism. And what people don't understand is that everything carries the same volume to them. Everything is the same loudness. So whether you're listening to me through headphones, and then maybe in the background, like if you're at a cafe and you can hear other people talking in the background, you can filter out the noise behind you, but he can't. And people like him can't. Everything is coming in with the same importance in their mind. So all these kids were yelling at him from all over the playground, and it was confusing him, and they were saying some not very nice names at the same time. So he was becoming overwhelmed, and he was frozen in fear and frozen with all this energy coming at him and didn't know what to do. I was fuming. I probably had fires coming out of my ears and eyeballs, but something overtook me in that moment. I commanded every kid to come to me on that playground. I commanded them all to come through me, and they all complied. And they came like an arc around me. Parents started gathering around me, but I didn't care. I didn't care. And then all of a sudden, this calm overcame me. I took some really deep breaths. And then, with the most calm, loving, gentle voice that I know had to be my highest self, and other beings of light came forward, because that's not what my human sounded like in my head. They said very calmly to all of them, they asked him a question. They asked, have you ever been called a name that didn't feel good by a sibling or other kids on the playground? And just about every single one of them raised their hand. And I said, how did it make you feel? And most of them said it didn't feel very good. And I said, that's how my oldest son feels right now. Except he probably feels that more, because he can feel the words that you're saying hitting him like rocks. And I then said, I am so sorry that you all have had to experience that kind of pain. Let's shake it all off. And I shook my body, and they shook their body. And then everyone went back to playing in kindness. My oldest son, though, he walked off. He needed time alone, and he started digging in the dirt and wouldn't let anyone talk to him. He was trying to process. He wouldn't let me near him either. So we were just giving him space. Over the next couple of days, he first became constipated, and then he had a bowel obstruction. He was holding on to all the emotions that he felt in those lower chakras that he consumed. He had gripped tightly to them, not processing them. So it caused his bowels actually to obstruct. At that point, he finally let me start to help him work through those emotions, and we worked through them together. And as soon as he opened up and let me help him work through those emotions, everything came out and started functioning properly again. It was just a very visual demonstration of what happens when we do not process emotions properly and we hold on to them. It literally tightened his gut like a wrench to the point where it wasn't even working, and he was in extreme pain. So these first 3 centers, it's incredibly important that you work through, you breathe through, you accept what you feel, and you move it up into the 4th energy center, which is in your heart. Otherwise, you're going to bog down your system. You're going to cause dis-ease within the body, and the energy fields, your subtle bodies that are supposed to be nice and loose and working coherently around you, are going to act like saran wrap to your physical container and shut your energy down from expanding. And even if you try to breathe deeply and try to expand, you're still going to feel like a grip on you, because these subtle bodies that should be like nesting eggs, a sphere inside of a bigger sphere, inside of a bigger sphere, all the way out, are going to be suction cupped to your body with no energy flow. Okay. So the 3rd energy center, the solar plexus, that's right in the middle of your gut, that houses the celiac nerve plexus. You want to make sure that expands all around you, above you, below you, and all around you. And that's your emotional subtle body. It houses your egoic self, And when your egoic self is healed and in alignment with soul, which is how I've always taught how to do it, because my oldest showed me how important it was. It protects your feminine self and it protects your physical self. It acts like a protector, not out of fear, but so that your feminine energy, your creativity, your expression can flow like water through you, while the riverbanks of the masculine is your egoic self giving you direction on where it knows your soul wants you to expand. So then we come up into the fourth energy center, which is your heart chakra, and it houses the cardiac nerve plexus. The cardiac nerve plexus sends almost twice as many signals to the brain as the brain sends to the rest of the body. Now, that should be expanded out above you, below you, all around you. It's considered mental body because it houses the wisdom of your soul. So, the wisdom of you, and it signals to the brain in your head what kind of neural hormone should be released to stimulate thought. So then we move up to the throat chakra, right at the base of your throat. You have the thyroid nerve plexus there. Of course, it has your T3, TH, your metabolic seat right here. And if your heart is open, if everything is opening properly, then your throat chakra naturally opens because it then feels free to share your wisdom, your knowledge with the world. Then you can expand that out above you, all around you, and that becomes outside of your heart field. And if you have a hard time speaking, if you have thyroid issues like Hashimoto's, then you know that you really need to do some work on your throat chakra, that you don't trust yourself, basically. You're not feeding your own wisdom up to your voice and feeling free or confident to share that with the world. And if it's not confident, then you need to work on your solar plexus. You need to get your masculine up to feel confident. Confidence in your solar plexus is not external power over another. It's power over yourself. It's power with self. It's a freedom that you have to express self. If everything in you is in alignment, then you feel free to express your wisdom and your truth, and you allow others to do the same. You will share your truth with another, but you won't force it or try to shame someone else into believing what you believe if they believe something different. You're not going to try to overpower the person next to you. You're going to see them in the light that they are and allow them to be them while you allow yourself to be you. It isn't the kind of power we're used to seeing in leadership roles. A lot of that power is trying to overpower someone else, telling them how they should be, what they should believe. And it's not compassion, it's not kindness. So true power comes with true wisdom and true trust of self. And it's an allowance that actually leads you into unity consciousness. Fun fact. All right. So from the throat, we move up to the third eye. In the third eye, it's connected into the pineal gland. The pineal gland is like this magical gland that houses tiny little crystals in it that vibrate. This gland, this eye, is a sender and receiver of information all the time. When we speak telepathically, which everyone on the planet does in slightly different ways, everyone is telepathic. We are using the pineal gland. When we are in meditation, we might start to see color or images. That's your pineal gland tuning into the invisible. When we open our eyes, our optic nerves are taking in physical light. The pineal gland takes in non-visible light. It takes in the invisible and it makes it visible. So it's high frequency. It's sender and receiver of information. The CIA used to use remote viewers, which use the third eye, use the pineal gland. So with the third eye, you want to expand that above you, below you, and all around you. Don't forget below you, behind you. A lot of the upper energy centers, like the heart, the throat, the third eye, and the crown, we connect them up and we go up with them, but we have to go down. Everything is a sphere, as above, so below. Heaven isn't just up, it's down too. It's a sphere. It's within us and all around us. It's everywhere. So when we get to the third eye, it's up, it's down, it's behind, it's in front, it's a sphere. And then we go take the outermost sphere, which is the crown, and we expand that out all around us, above us, below us, and all around us. And often with the crown, it's the one that you feel the least boundary with. Like all the other ones, when you really concentrate and begin to work with them, it feels kind of like a nice cocoon around you. The crown is different in that it folds naturally in and out of these much higher dimensional realms, connecting into vast amounts of wisdom. So that is a very quick introduction to chakras and subtle bodies. And if you want to join our class, the course, it's going to be 3 classes where we are working on releasing codependency on every level. We have to look at everything as a whole container. You are wholeness. You're not compartmentalized. Nothing works separate. Everything works in cohesion, coherently, or incoherently, but it's still working together. So we're going to be releasing codependencies on labels, on peoples, on belief systems and structures. And a big way that we get to play with that is by working inside the subtle bodies and the chakras, releasing them from constrictions, because these subtle bodies and your energy centers can become out of alignment, and some can be out further than they should be, while others are in closer than they should be. They can get flipped. So we're going to work through all of that, but start to feel into them on your own. And thank you for being here with me. Thank you for playing with me. Thank you for sharing, liking, subscribing, and commenting down below on anything that you've noticed within your own life and experiences on your health and your energy centers. I'm genuinely grateful to have spent this time with you. And I am so grateful that you are taking the time to heal yourself, to trust yourself, and to love and share the wisdom that you are with the world.